Save money. The only factor you can control generates one of the only things that matters. How wonderful. Let me convince you to save money. It won't take long. But it's an odd task, isn't it? Do people need to be convinced to save money? My observation is that yes, many do. Past a certain level of income, people fall into three groups: those who save, those who don't think they can save, and those who don't think they need to save. This is for the latter two. The first idea, simple but easy to overlook, is that building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns and lots to do with your savings rate. A quick story about the power of efficiency. In the 1970s, the world looked like it was running out of oil. The calculation wasn't hard. The global economy used a lot of oil, the global economy was growing, and the amount of oil we could drill couldn't keep up. We didn't run out of oil, thank goodness. But that wasn't just because we found more oil, or even got better at taking it out of the ground. The biggest reason we overcame the oil crisis is that we started building cars, factories, and homes that are more energy efficient than they used to be. The United States uses 60% less energy per dollar of GDP today than it did in 1950. The average miles per gallon of all vehicles on the road has doubled since 1975. A 1989 Ford Taurus sedan averaged 18.0 mpg, while a suburban, absurdly large SUV averages 18.1 mpg. So it's easy to see which has mattered more. The world grew its energy wealth not by increasing the energy it had, but by decreasing the energy it needed. The same is true with our money. The important thing here is that finding more energy is largely out of our control and shrouded in uncertainty, because it relies on a slippery mix of having the right geology, geography, weather, and geopolitics. But becoming more efficient with the energy we use is largely in our control. The decision to buy a lighter car or ride a bike is up to you and has a 100% chance of improving efficiency. A 2019 Chevy. Investment returns can make you rich. But whether an investing strategy will work, how long it will work for, and whether markets will cooperate is always in doubt. Results are shrouded in uncertainty, hard, and out of your control. Personal savings and frugality, finances, conservation, and efficiency are parts of the money equation that are more in your control and have a 100% chance of being as effective in the future as they are today. If you view building wealth as something that will require more money or big investment returns, you may become as pessimistic as the energy doomers were in the 1970s. The destiny is clearer. If you view it as powered by your own frugality and efficiency, wealth is just the related factors that affect how you spend what you earn. In addition, you can build wealth without a high income, but have the chance of building wealth without a high income at clear which matters more. More importantly, the value of wealth is relative to what you need. An average investor earns 5% annually, in better times than you are, despite being a low investor. The same is true for incomes. Learning to be happy with less money resides between what you have and what you want. It shrinks the gap you get from growing your paycheck, but is easier and more in your control. A strong net worth means having lower expenses than you otherwise could, and having lower expenses means your savings go further than they would if you spent more. Think about this in the context of how much time and effort goes into achieving a form of annual investment outperformance, millions of hours of research, tens of billions of dollars of effort from professionals, and it's easy to see what's potentially important or worth chasing. There are professional investors who grind so many hours a week to add 1/10 of a percentage point to their returns when there are 3 full percentage points of lifestyle bloat in their finances that can be exploited with less effort. They can be achieved, and some can achieve them. But the fact is, there's so much effort put into one side of the financial equation and so little put into the other, which is an opportunity for most people. Everyone needs the basics. Once they're covered, there are no more basics, and past that, there are basics that sit below your ego, both comfortable, entertaining, and enlightening. But spending beyond a pretty low level of materialism is most often a reflection of ego approaching income. Ways to spend show people that you have or had money. Humility. Think of it like this, and one of the most powerful increases to your savings isn't to raise your income. The same. When you define savings as the gap between your ego and your income, you realize why many people with decent incomes save so little money. People with enduring personal finance success, not necessarily those with high incomes, tend to have a propensity to not give a damn what others think about them. Savings can be created by spending less. So people's ability to save is more in their control than they might think. You can spend less if you desire less. Was 106 tan fat, and you don't need a specific reason to save. Since saving can be your down payment on a house or that's great, of course. But saving is to achieve a goal of purchasing something. You can save just for anything. And indeed, you should. Everyone should. Or saving toward a specific goal makes sense in 2 predictable ways. But it isn't. Saving is a hedge against life's inevitable surprises that can surprise the hell out of you at the worst possible moment. As for benefits, savings that aren't attached to a spending goal is what we discussed in Chapter 8, Taking Control Over Your Time. Everyone knows the tangible stuff money buys. The intangible stuff is harder to wrap your head around, so it tends to go unnoticed. But the intangible benefits of money can be far more valuable and capable of increasing your happiness than the tangible things that are obvious targets of our savings. Savings without a spending goal gives you options and flexibility, the ability to wait, and the opportunity to pounce. It gives you time to think. It lets you change course on your own terms. Every bit of savings is like taking a point in the future that would have been owned by someone else and giving it back to yourself. That flexibility and control over your time is an unseen return on wealth. What is the return on cash in the bank that gives you the option of changing careers or retiring early or freedom from worry? I'd say it's incalculable. It's incalculable in 2 ways. It's so large, and we can't measure it like we can measure interest rates, and we can't measure what we tend to overlook. When you don't have control over your time, you accept whatever bad luck is thrown your way. But if you have flexibility, you have no-brainer opportunities to fall in your lap. You have the time to wait for investment opportunities that come when those without flexibility turn desperate. And that hidden return is becoming more important. The world used to be hyper-local. Just over 100 years ago, 75% of Americans had neither telephones nor regular mail service, according to historian Robert Gordon. That made competition hyper-local. A worker with just average intelligence might be the best in their town, and they got treated like the best because they didn't have to compete with the smarter worker in another town. That's now changed. A hyper-connected world means the talent pool you compete in has gone from hundreds or thousands spanning your town to millions or billions spanning the globe. Muscles, teaching, marketing, analysis, consulting, accounting, programming, journalism, and even medicine increasingly compete in global talent pools. More fields will fall into this category as digitization erases global boundaries, as software eats the world, as venture capitalist Mark Andreessen puts it. A question you should ask as the range of your competition expands is, how do you stand out? Smart is increasingly a bad answer to that question because there are a lot of smart people in the world. Almost 600 people take the SAT each year. Another 2,000 come within a handful of points. In a winner-take-all and globalized world, these kinds of people are increasingly your direct competitors. Intelligence is not a reliable advantage in a world that has become as connected as ours has. But flexibility is. In a world where intelligence is hyper-competitive and many previous technical skills have become automated, competitive advantages tilt toward nuanced and soft, skill-like communication, empathy, and perhaps most of all, flexibility. If you have flexibility, you can wait for good opportunities, both in your career and for your investments. You'll have a better chance of being able to learn a new skill when it's necessary. You'll feel less urgency to chase competitors who can do things you can't, and have more leeway to find your passion and your niche at your own pace. You can find a new routine, a slower pace, and think about life with a different set of assumptions. The ability to do those things when most others can't is one of the few things that will set you apart in a world where intelligence is no longer a sustainable advantage. Having more control over your time and options is becoming one of the most valuable currencies in the world. That's why more people can, and more people should, save money. You know what else they should do? Stop trying to be so rational. Let me tell you why.